Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I want to start with a brief commercial for the joys and delights of Rakiura, because I don't think any of the speakers so far have quite done justice to this remarkable place. And not just, sir, so that I can share with the House what I did in my holidays, but that I think that the fantastic qualities of Stewart Island are worth recounting simply because they explain just why so many people go to this very remote part of New Zealand and in fact create the demand and the burden, the demand on the infrastructure and the burden on what is a very small population to fund that infrastructure. My wife and I and friends rented a crib in Oban last summer and had a fantastic couple of weeks. We fished for blue cod, and in fact we had the experience that Rahui Katane described of chucking a line over the edge of the boat with 3 hooks on it and seconds later pulling up three large blue cod, and did this time and time again for a whole morning and ended up with more blue cod than we knew what to do with. The air in Oban, around Half Moon Bay there, is thick with kaka and kiriru. It is unbelievable. It's like walking through primeval Aotearoa to see a flock of a dozen kaka wheeling around this little township. And in fact, they would land every day, a couple of times a day. This flock of kaka would land on the deck of our little crib and spend time playing there, and it was really quite extraordinary. Not only, as Rahui Katane says, can you pick beautiful, big, juicy kina by wading out in knee-deep water, but in Patterson's Inlet you can actually pick fantastic paua at knee-deep in the water, and you can cook yourself a feed of fresh blue cod, fresh paua, kina, and that is an extraordinary experience, actually, that you can't have almost anywhere else in New Zealand, actually. And not only that, sir, but to enjoy the hospitality at the Oban pub or the fish and chips at the pie cart in Oban, that just adds to the whole experience. So it's no surprise to me that actually 36,000 visitors go to this remarkable corner of New Zealand every year. But I have to say that actually I thought the quality of the infrastructure was pretty good. The wharf, the roads, all of the public infrastructure, I thought was pretty good. But nevertheless, I think it's right that Eric Roy should be congratulated as the local member for sponsoring this local bill. The numbers, I think, say it all. 36,000 odd visitors every year, and a tiny community of I think 361 ratepayers, the member said, trying to fund infrastructure for this island. The points, I think, have been well traversed already, that from our side, sir, there's a concern not that a small levy would kill the goose that lays the golden egg on Rakiura, but that this could have some precedent value that might not be helpful, and it needs to be considered in the wider context of how we fund infrastructure in areas of New Zealand that attract large numbers of tourists. It's worth mentioning also, sir, that in isolated communities like Stewart Island, there are extra expenses, and Rahui Katane pointed out how expensive electricity is on the island. That is true. The cost of actually freighting in all the goods that people need to run their businesses and go about their daily lives is also adds to the difficulties of living in such a remote location. There was one experience that I didn't mention before that I think is a classic Stewart Island experience that explains why so many people go there. And we walked across to Mason's Bay, which is one of the sort of premier activities that visitors to the island do, and spent an hour with wild kiwi in the middle of the day, sir, on the walk to Mason's Bay. And if any members haven't had that experience, I recommend it. And I think it encapsulates why this part of the country is so magical.
Sorry
Thank
to
you.
interrupt a very interesting speech.